How are you guys doing on today? I am super duper excited. First of all, guys, we get to hang out today with New York Times best-selling author Kimberla Lawson Roby. So again, I am a fangirl, and she is an amazing author, a speaker. She teaches workshops, all of this good stuff. And for her to be able to hang out with us, guys, we get an exclusive. Okay, the woman God created you to be, and that's not it. Okay, finding success through faith, spiritually, personally, and professionally. This is her book, guys. This is her nonfiction book, and she's going to hang out with us today. She'll answer a couple of questions. She may spill a little bit of tea, all of that good stuff as well. And of course, we're going to allow her the opportunity to introduce herself to the people.
Well, thank you so much, Angela, as always, for all your support and for inviting me and for giving me such an awesome opportunity. You know, you and I have had conversations on and off throughout the years, ever since I released The Woman God Created You to Be. It was not a book I ever thought I would write. Then when God called me to do it, and it wouldn't go away, then it became a book I did not want to write. And then also one I was terrified to even think about writing. And so, you know, coming from a career of writing fiction, 28 novels now in total. And so writing fiction is what I knew. And it was many years before I even sat down to begin doing that. I was 30 years old in 1995 and ended up writing my first book, going through what so many writers, I'm sure, in your audience will be able to identify with and relate to. And that is getting all of the rejection letters from literary agents, and then ultimately from editors at publishing houses, and then finally being ready to give up and hearing my mom say, "No, I don't think you should do that. I think you should keep going." And then my husband Will saying, "Why can't you take your business background, start your own company, publish the book yourself?" And so ended up self-publishing behind closed doors. Have been published with 3 major traditional publishing houses in New York. Fast forwarding to my first nonfiction book, God was leading me in a different direction. I decided not to submit it and ended up self-publishing that as well.
Wow, I love that. And Kimberla, for those who have been following you on this amazing journey with your fiction novels as well as your nonfiction book, The Woman God Created You to Be, this, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is book 29.
9. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And actually, it's 28 because I did write one novel after that. Sister Friend
After.
Forever.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I love that. So, guys, this is book number 28, but author Kimberla Lawson Roby has 29 books all together. And of course, if you guys have not done so, like, tag, and share, tell a friend to come on down to the cafe because we are hanging out with author Kimberla Lawson Roby on today. And Kimberla, they are giving you love. Of course, we have a
Thank
Trice
you all so much, my
Hayes
beautiful
hanging
Trice.
out with us on
Yes,
today. She's
thank
saying good
you. Hey,
evening.
Trice.
And we have
Hey,
Michelle Weaver
Michelle. Hey,
hanging out with us
Michelle.
on today.
Hey,
Veronica
Veronica. Hey,
Lockett. And
hey.
oh my goodness, we have Ashinda hanging out with us on today as well. Kimberla, they are
Rosenda. Oh
coming
my
out, giving
gosh.
you love.
All of
Thank
my,
you so
it's
much,
like
Shinda,
everybody,
for
it's
hanging
like
out with
you
us
listed, it's like,
today.
Rotunda and
I love
Trice
it. I
and
love it. Look,
Rochelle, they
you
support me over and over, time and time again. Those ladies do. So thank you all for that. And for everyone
I
else who
love
is here
it.
as well. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
JB.
And of course, we also have Mama Tony Bonita in the house hanging out
Oh
with
my
us.
gosh.
Guys,
Hey,
and
Miss
thank y'all so
Tony.
much for coming and hanging out with Kimberla
Yes,
Lawson
thank
Roby and I on
you.
today. And of course, if you have a question or a comment in reference to The Woman God Created You to be sure to put it in the comment section. We'll be sure to include you. Y'all know we like to be interactive here at the cafe. So, Kimberla, we're going to get started, my friend. And I want you to start out asking you pertaining to this book because it's nonfiction. And so for some people that may have been different if they, of course, was following the Curtis Black series. Then you had some single titles as well. But then you changed a little bit for this book and it's actually nonfiction. So
Yes.
can you share with us what inspired this book?
So, again, it wasn't a book that I ever thought I would write or would write. And I literally just woke up one morning, and specifically, I woke up on October 5th, 2016. And I'm always remembering that date. And I've had many conversations with Trice about it because it was such a strange moment for me, a very, very different time in my life, but literally just woke up hearing the words, hearing God's call and finding your purpose, and just having it placed on my heart. Well, I am going to write a nonfiction book. And that really scared me, just to know that. And I tried to ignore it, but I woke up with it and I went to bed with it. And I woke up with it and I went to bed with it. And what I share with women all the time is when something does not leave your spirit, when it remains in your heart and inside your soul, and you just have this whole idea of knowing that there's something that you're really supposed to be doing, then I'm always believing that that is part of your purpose, and that it always relates to something that God has called you to do, something that he has assigned to your life. And so I eventually just started thinking more about the book, and I started moving forward with trying to figure out, first of all, what I would write about and what those chapters would be about. Then as I continued to pray about the book and what I would be including in it, I became terrified again, because I realized that God was also leading me to share parts of my life that maybe aren't the best parts. And, it's like, we become women of God and we grow year after year, decade after decade. But there were certain things in my younger years that I may have said to someone, that I may have did, that I was not proud of. But I also realized and found peace with the fact that in order to help other women, I was going to have to be transparent, and I was going to have to be honest. And, how am I going to give anyone any advice or try to encourage any woman if I'm not being truthful about what I've gone through and what I've had to overcome? And so that led me into making the decision to write the book. And so in 2017, I wrote the final book in my Reverend Curtis Black series, made the announcement. That book was released in 2018. I took a little bit of a break throughout the rest of that year and the first part of 2019. And then I got started with writing it. And then it was released in January 2020. And I was so excited about it. It was ready to go. I had speaking engagements and book signing events. And as you know, just 2 months later, the pandemic shutdown happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
things kind of became very different. I had to pivot and started doing a lot of online events. Praise God
Mm-hmm.
for lots of pastors' wives and there's women's ministries and book clubs who decided that's how they wanted to get together and read 2 or 3 chapters a week. And then they would invite me to get on with them for that last session. And so I was still able to meet with women. And then, as you know, ultimately started a podcast at the very
Mm-hmm.
end of 2020 as a companion piece to the book.
And an amazing, amazing podcast that it is. And guys, we're going to talk about the podcast. I'm not going to leave y'all hanging, because the podcast that accompanies this book is just amazing. And one of the things, Kim, that I want to mention, you talked about it just a little bit when you was kind of telling us what inspired the book, is that for me, and I think Chinda said it as well, one of the things that I enjoy about the woman that God created you to be is the fact that it is you being transparent, and the fact that it feels authentic when you're reading it, as well, and it reaches people where they are. And one of the things that was really special, I'm one of those readers that, like, I read everything in the book, but you actually start this book with a prayer for the women and their journey.
Yes.
Like, tell us about that. That was important. Like, wow, she starts this book off with a prayer for the individuals who will be reading this beautiful novel, or not novel, but this nonfiction piece,
Yes.
as well as not only are you praying for the women, but you're praying for the journey that they're going to take as they read it. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, I can't even take the credit for the idea of that. I am definitely that author, and throughout my career, where I pray for my readers, my podcast listeners now, and for the women who are in my sisterhood, the women who take my master classes. That's just who I am as a person. So I am constantly praying for everyone connected to me, everyone who supports me. And so my editor, my content and developmental editor for this book was Karen Thomas. And she also was the editor of Casting the First Stone, and Here and Now. So she was my editor when I first started out with traditional publishing. And after she read the book and gave me her feedback and just really talked about so many of the things that she enjoyed about it, she said, after reading it, I really would, I really think it would be a great idea if you wrote a prayer for the women who are going to read that. And I had not considered that or thought about that. I just know that I pray for them on a daily basis. But then I thought, wow, what a great idea. How great would it be to even start the book, so that women can read this, know that I am certainly with them, that I am praying that this will be helpful to them. And so I started thinking about what I would say to women in person. If I was just passing them a copy of the book, I wrote that prayer, and then that's how it ended up being in the very beginning of it.
Wow, I love that. Well, that was beautiful to actually start the book with that as well. And one of the things, Kimberla, that with this particular book, how did you come up with the title, "The Woman That God Created You to Be"? As you were writing this book and getting it out, and you finally finished it, was this the working title while you was working on it? Mm.
It was not, because when I woke up out of my sleep with those words in my mind, hearing God's call and finding your purpose, I really thought that's what the title would be, because it was also, I could feel that this was going to be a nonfiction book that I was going to be writing. But as I kept working with it and praying and started thinking about what the book was going to be about, I started thinking about my own life and how I have grown, as a woman, how I have grown as a wife, how I have grown as a friend, and sister to other women, and certainly most important, how my relationship with God has grown throughout the years. And so I thought, in order for me to have overcome, become a better woman, to improve on my life, I had to really work on various steps and in a certain order. And that was, first of all, my spiritual life, getting things right with God, really working on this idea of truly, not just saying it, but truly treating others the way I want to be treated. And then really reading the word much more than I had been, and really praying much more than I had been. And then they're moving on to my personal life, really focusing on all relationships, whether it be with with my husband, whether it be with family members or friends or coworkers, and, taking care of myself, because I wasn't doing a very good job at that. I was taking care of myself in general, but the self-care was very much lacking. And I was focusing on everyone else, whether it be my husband, whether it be my family members, whether it be my readers, whether it be what I needed to do with deadlines for a publisher. But I found myself very much last on my to-do list. And then when I really started to think about it, I realized I wasn't on other people's to-do list at all. And so
Wow.
I had to take a step back and make some changes there. And then from there, I realized, okay, now I can really focus on my purpose, and I can really focus on the professional aspects of my life. And so I thought, wow, so really, what does that mean? And as I kept thinking about it and working with different titles and just trying to come up with it, I thought, well, in order to overcome that, to go through all three stages, that's when you're really trying your best to become the woman God created you to be. And so that's how I ended up with The Woman God Created You to Be: Finding Success Through Faith, Spiritually, Personally, and Professionally.
Wow, I love that. I love that. And Kimberla, you actually mentioned these three things. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about, is because the book is divided into three parts. You have the spiritual you, the personal you, and the professional you. So how did that come about in saying, okay, when I am speaking to these women and telling them about how to become the woman that God created them to be, how did those three parts come about to break the book down in that way?
So, it still, goes back to really me thinking, okay, in order to become, let's just say, I want to become great in my personal life. I want to get my personal life in order physically, mentally, emotionally, as it relates to self-care, as it relates to even, let's supporting other women and being there for family
Mhm.
members, just really being the best personal you that you can be. But I started thinking we can have that in order, but then the spiritual life isn't what it needs to be. So eventually you're not going to be okay personally. And if you don't have your spiritual life and your personal life in order, how great can your professional life really be, if we're really, really thinking about it and we're really being honest about it. And so that made me think, wow, you know what, let's just separate it. I want to separate it into 3 sections so that we are working on our spiritual selves first and foremost, and not even really focusing so much on the personal aspect of our lives or the professional. And then once we feel like we've got a handle on that and we're where we need to be or close to where we need to be, then let's move on to work on some personal pieces, the personal parts of our lives. And then from there, well, now we're good. Because I really believe that if you're okay spiritually and you're okay personally, well, now you can focus on your purpose and you can focus on those passions and the professional life and figuring out, okay, now what do I do? What is it that God wants me to do as it relates to serving others? You're much more equipped to help other people as it relates to your purpose if your spiritual life and your personal life are totally and completely intact.
I love that. I love that. Guys, if you are just joining us, we are hanging out with New York Times best-selling author Kimberla Lawson Roby. This is her a nonfiction book, The Woman God Created You to Be. Of course, you can like, tag, and share. Tell a friend to come and join us as she tell us about this amazing, amazing book. Now, Kimberla, one of the things that I also enjoy about this book, and we talked about a little bit earlier about how transparent that you are. I love the fact that it is broken down into those 3 things: the spiritual you, the personal you, and the professional you. But can you share a little bit, and this is a little bit of tea spilling with
Yeah.
us, was there a section when you break it down into those 3, the spiritual you, the personal you, and the professional you, where at moments in writing it, you had to kind of have a moment, like take a pause and say, okay, whew, like woosah,
Yes.
get it out, because you are being so authentic and you are
Yes.
laying it all out. And a
Yes.
lot of it, when you're reading this, guys, if you haven't read it yet, you can feel Kim's heartbeat. You can feel that this is coming from a place of love. And not only that, some of it, Kim, you lived it. Like you
Yes.
have the experience to back it up of what you're telling and teaching us. So can you share with us, was there a section that at moments was like, whew, okay, I can do this?
Yeah, and there were certain sections. Well, first of all, there were certain moments when I wrote something. Of course, you finish that final draft and you're going back now. You're rereading it so you can start working on your revisions and your rewrites and just the edits in general. And there were some things where I thought, wow, you know what? Maybe I, should I really share that? Should I, leave that in? Maybe I should take that out. And, then in the end, I decided to leave in everything that I wrote. But the toughest part was to talk about what it was like when I not only had learned, my brothers and I and the rest of my family members, we had learned that my mom was terminally ill and that she wasn't going to get better. And, basically it was about keeping her comfortable. And that was a time in my life when not even my husband Will knew, not my closest friends, not my brothers, not anyone knew, that I literally in my mind started thinking, how in the world am I supposed to go on without my mom? And to be honest, I don't even want to. I used to wonder how people could arrive at those particular points in their lives, where you just say, I'd rather just be gone and home. Lord, take me home too, because I cannot imagine what it's going to be like for me. So telling that whole story, what it was like the day we found out. And, my mom here, she is the one terminally ill, but yet she's the one encouraging me and trying to prepare me in terms of what it's going to be like when she's gone. And so it was difficult. I certainly shed tears throughout writing that particular part of the book. It was therapeutic for me too, in a number of ways, but it was very much painful to have to relive so much of it. But I realize now how important it was for me to share it, because I hear from so many women saying, thank you for writing the story that I can relate to. It's helping me get past the loss of my mom, or my mom is ill and she's not going to live very much longer. And so this lets me know that it won't always be as bad as it is for me right now. I won't always feel, the pain in a certain way. And so I do believe that while God never ever causes us pain and harm, we know that living and dying is a part of our lives, and we know that we have to experience it. But while he does not cause us harm and pain, I do believe that he allows us to go through certain trials and tribulations. And in the end, it's so that we can go on to help someone else who will eventually be coming along that journey as well someday.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Kimberla, as well. Guys, if you're just joining us, we are hanging out with author Kimberla Lawson Roby on today, The Woman God Created You to Be. If you have a question or comment for Kimberla, put it in the comment section. We'll be sure to include you. And we talked a little bit about the podcast. There is a podcast that's called The Woman God Created You to Be. Of course, you can subscribe. It is on, all of these streaming platforms like Spotify or what have you. And you can listen to it. And in addition to that, if you have the book, you can use it as a companion with the book. But Kimberla, someone wanted to know, is there a workbook as well, or just the podcast and the book that they can use when they're reading The Woman God Created You to Be?
Yes, no, there's not. And hello, Dahlia. There is no workbook, and that's my own fault, because I have certainly had other folks recommend that to me. And that was right at the beginning. One person before the book was actually published, and then many in 2020, the year that the book was released. And I just have not done that. And so I'm in the process now of preparing something so that it will be digital, be a digital download. That way, before we even get printed copies or anything, then readers will be able to utilize that. So it'll be part workbook, part Bible study, but more workbook, Bible study journal, really all three combined to some degree.
And I love that, Kimberla, because again, I know I'm thinking about it. It's definitely a book that, you can get some of your sisters together, your sister friends together, women in your church, or just a group of you. You can literally read this book together, listen to the podcast. It is just an amazing nonfiction book as well. And of course, y'all know that books make great gifts. For like Mother's Day, or some of the women in your life is for their birthdays, or or just because, this is one of those just because I want to bless you, this is information that you need type of read as well. And Kimberla, that leads me to the next thing, because in this book, and not only in the book and in the podcast, but just for those who know you as a person, sisterhood and supporting other women and girl power is very important to you. And that also come across in this book. It come across in some of the things that you're doing now as well. But share with us, why is that so important to Kimberla to have that sisterhood and girl power and support amongst ourselves as women?
It's extremely important to me. And so that's why you hear me talk about it quite a bit. And just the idea of knowing that you have women in your life, in your circle, who you can go to and talk about anything. You can truly be yourself. If it's one of your worst days, they're going to be okay with that. They're going to encourage you. They're going to lift you up. For me, I'm going to do the exact same thing for them. And you know that you can do it in confidence. You know that you can trust them. You know that they are loyal to you and the friendship and to the sisterhood as a whole. And so for me, it is the best thing in the world when I see great news, somebody posting great news. And, nothing against men. We know I love men. We know I love Will Roby with everything in me. I love my brothers with everything in me. But there is something special about sisterhood and the women in your life. And so when I see great news, it makes me smile. And I want to tell everybody that I know, about that great news. And so the idea of ever, ever seeing women who aren't necessarily happy for other women. They don't encourage other women. They may envy other women. I'll never have an understanding of that whatsoever. And so for me, it is, I don't just want the best for me. I want the best for all of you as well. And that makes a huge difference. And so it really is about women supporting women. And there are a number of women on here tonight, and they are here simply because they're supporting you and me in this, even though they have their own busy lives and they've got plenty of things I know that they could be doing, could be doing, but they are here to support us. And that's what it's all about. And I love them and appreciate them for that. Yes, Lachelle, absolutely. Love to see us
I
win.
love it.
All of us.
I'm with you. I love that sisterhood. And
Yes,
yes,
yes.
I love that. I love that. Now, Kimberla, I'm sure they are. Hey, I'm Author Bell Calhoun, and thank you so much for joining us
Hello.
as well. And Kimberla, they are definitely agreeing with you about the sisterhood and that bond and that support as well. And Jennifer, she is definitely one of those that supports and
Yes.
seeing
Hey,
other women
Jennifer.
win, and it comes across in all that she do as well. For that,
Yes.
yes,
Hey,
Chinda, winning
Linda.
season for all. I love that. I love that. Well, guys, I know that you are on the edge of your seats. And yes, author Kimberla Lawson Roby, she's going to bless us with just a little bit of the woman God created you to be. And of course, in addition to that, we will also be sharing with you how you can get your hands on a copy of this book, as well as how you can stay connected with Kimberla Lawson Roby, how you can sign up for or listen to the podcast, some of the things that Kimberla Lawson Roby has coming up. We'll be sharing all of that with you as well. So, Kimberla, I'm going to allow you to set the scene or kind of give us a little bit about what you're going to read, and we are ready when you are.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. I'm just going to read really about the first page of chapter 16, and it's called Pray, Plan, Practice, Proceed. What I've discovered over the years is that whether you know your purpose or not, there are certain steps you should take to accomplish your goals. If you don't know your purpose, then of course, praying is what you need to continue doing until you discover it. But if you do know your purpose and you're ready to begin fulfilling it, then you'll want to do the following: pray, plan, practice, and proceed. This is what I call my 4P process, and I must say, it has made a world of difference for me. It helps me to stay focused and organized, which is very important because without structure, we can sometimes become frustrated and confused about what to do first or what to do next. We can also become a Jill of all trades and mistress of none. Yes, I realize that God has, in fact, given each of us many gifts, talents, and abilities that I have been speaking about in this book all along, but I don't believe He wants us to do everything. What I believe is that when we make up our minds to follow our purpose and we realize how much work it will require, we sometimes begin looking at other options. We look for something safer and easier. We search for things that we know we can do quickly and those that won't require very much. I know I've done this in the past myself because let's face it, many of us want to finish what we're doing as quickly as we possibly can so that we can begin reaping great rewards as quickly as we possibly can. We want to enjoy life and not spend any more laboring, performing, or producing than we have to. But what I also know is that anything worth having requires a huge amount of hard work. And in order to offer God and everyone else the very best of who we are, we must operate in excellence and not in mediocrity, which means we must do our fair share of praying, planning, and practicing before we even consider proceeding with anything.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Kimberla Lawson Roby. Robin is saying she's glad that she got an extra copy of this book at
Oh, thank you
CBLR
so much,
2023 to
Robin.
bless other
Thank
women.
you.
I love that. I love that as well. And guys, again, as we stated, it makes a great gift. You can get a copy for yourself, get a copy for another woman or women that are out there as well. Kimberla, they enjoyed the snippet that you read. Author Bell Calhoun says, love it.
Thank
And Jennifer
you.
said it was right on time for her. She said, whoo, I needed to hear this as
Awesome,
well.
Jennifer.
And that's what it's all about, guys. That is what it is all about. Again, we are hanging out with author Kimberla Lawson Roby, the woman God created you to be. It is available. And Kimberla, I just want to make sure it is available in print and ebook. Is that
It
correct?
is. It is
Okay, gotcha.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes, 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 yes. And of course, guys, there is a giveaway on this evening, and I'm going to allow Kimberla to share with us what her giveaway is going to be on today.
It is what you have in your hand, a copy of The Woman God Created You to Be.
All righty, guys.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to be giving away on today. Kimberla, I'm going to get you to assist me. I'm going to
Okay.
go up and down the comment section, my friend, and you're going to tell me when to stop. And
Okay.
then that person will be the winner of a copy of The Woman God Created You to Be. And Kimberla, is this an autograph copy of this
Yes,
book?
it is. It will
Oh,
be personalized. I will
look
sign it.
fancy. This is going to be an
Yes,
autograph copy.
yes.
I love it. All right. I am ready when you are.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, stop.
Okay. Let's see. Jennifer, it is your day, my friend. You receive a copy of the one that said, I needed to hear this. This
Yeah.
is, you will receive an autographed copy of The Woman God Created You to Be. If you will inbox me, we will be sure to get this information over to Kimberla so we can get this out to you. So thank you so much as well. Thank all of you for joining us. Of course, the time goes by as so fast. But
Mhm.
before we find out how we can get a copy of the book and we find out what Kimberla has coming up next or what have you, Kimberla, I want for you to share with us, what do you want women to take away from this book when they read it? The Woman God Created You to Be.
My hope is that when reading the book, really getting things together, making sure everything is okay in your life spiritually, making sure you are doing well personally, and then making sure that you're focusing on your professional life and on your purpose, realizing that in order to really be happy, to really find peace, and to really become the woman God created you to be, you're going to have to work on all three areas of your life. It'd be easy to work on one or two, but it is all three that will make the difference for you.
I love that. I love that. And of course, guys, she has shared with us a little bit about the podcast. So, Kimberla, if you can share with them how they can listen to the podcast and use it as a companion to the book, and then go into what you have coming up next. I know you have some masterclass and there's like a sisterhood that they can join. Tell us about that.
Yes. So the podcast is available wherever you normally listen to your favorite podcasts. So you can check it out. There are 25 episodes. I think there's an intro first and then 25 episodes. And really, really now thinking about it and wanting to plan to do a season 2 as well. So if you have not listened to it, then I hope you will. The average anywhere from 6 to 7 minutes. I think the longest episode is 15 minutes, but for the most part, they're usually under that. So it doesn't take you very long to listen to each of those. Also have a sisterhood called Successful Women of Faith, the sisterhood, and it is a gathering of women of God, women who kind of fall in this space of being like-minded, who support each other, who lift each other up. Every bit of what we talked about when you said, why is sisterhood so important to me? But we keep each other encouraged. And so it's on a platform similar to social media. It's just that it's private, and these are women who have all gotten to know each other. One woman who had experienced a surgery um, I did not even know this as the founder of the group, and it just really warmed my heart. And she told me not very long ago, about a month ago, that she had gone through it, and another member had been praying her through her recovery. And so, how awesome is that
Right.
somebody who met somebody who they've never met in person, they only met because they're members of the SWAF community, or seeing a couple of other members that I know of, that they are going to pretty much click on everything each of them will post on social media because they met because of the sisterhood. And so I'm just really, really happy about that, and what it represents. And then, of course, my master classes. I have one master class on writing books, another one on learning more about marketing and promoting your book, really getting it out there and getting the exposure for it. And as it turns out, 2 days from now, I will be doing a free Q&A session. So going to be answering as many questions as I possibly can for women who are thinking about writing a book, already in the midst of writing it, or they may have already finished it and just wanting to know more about what to do next. And so if anyone is interested, any of your viewers, they can certainly go to womenwhowritebooks.com, register. It's free of charge, but you do have to register to reserve your spot, and it will be via Zoom.
I love that. And we'll be sure to put that information in the comment section for
Yeah.
you guys to check that out, as well as the SWAF community. If you want to join that, we'll make sure we put that information in the comments as well. And Trice said that SWAF is a wonderful community. It is a safe space for sharing and support. I
Oh,
love
thank
that.
you.
I
Thank
love
you,
that.
guys. Thank you, Tenda.
We're Kimberla, thank you so much for joining us here at the cafe and talking about the woman God created you to be. We are so appreciate you for stopping by and talking about this book. But can you share with us how they can get their hands on a copy? And I also, one of the places, in addition to the places that Kimberla tell you that you can get it from, is Riches in Reading Indie Bookstore. There will be a link that I've already dropped in the comment sections. She
Oh,
has copies
wonderful.
of the woman that God created us to be. You can order from her as well at the Christian Book Lovers Retreat. And Kimberla is probably aware of this, y'all. We sold out, like literally,
Yes.
we
Yes.
sold out. I mean, women were buying this book for themselves. They was buying it for other people, all of this good stuff as well. So let me just tell you, you do want to get you a copy, and I'll make sure that I put Riches and Readings link in the comment section so you guys can click on that. And in addition to that,
Mhm.
Kimberla will share with us other places that you can get your hands on a copy of The Woman God Created You to Be.
Yes. So, absolutely, Riches in Reading, support any other independent bookstore. We always want to make sure that we are recommending independent bookstores to all of our readers. And of course, if are online, any of the online bookstores, any of the online book retailers, the big box stores, of course, it is available there as well. If you want to read the first chapter, the introduction and the first chapter of the book, you can go to my website, which is kimroby.com, to read more about it there as well. And then to you, Angela, I just want to thank you again for giving me such a wonderful opportunity. The woman God created me. I've written a lot of books, and I'm grateful to God for giving me the opportunity to do that. But this book is truly the book that continues to be on my heart. And it is the book that I want to keep moving forward with, and the book that I'm hoping will continue to help as many women as possible. And so I just appreciate you featuring this particular book of all my books this evening. And then, of course, as I mentioned to you before we got started this evening, and I've said it to you in the past, thank you for supporting authors in such a tremendous way, in such a loving way, and in such a caring way, because we can't do what we do without this kind of support. So I just want you to know how grateful I am to you for your service. And you truly are serving authors and readers in a very special way.
Wow, thank you so much, Kimberla. I so appreciate that, and I appreciate you as well. Guys, it has been amazing hanging out with author Kimberla Lawson Roby on today. We've shared with you how you can get your hands on a copy of it. And of course, Kimberla, please share, and I know we did put your website there, but tell us,
Mhm.
how can we stay connected with you?
Yeah, so you can definitely go to kimroby.com, and you'll see email information out there. If folks are interested in choosing the woman God created you to be, if you have a women's ministry, if you have a book club, you can contact me directly, even if you want autographed copies for your book, or again, go to, contact stores like Riches in Reading. And if you do select the book, then I'm more than happy to get on with you for your final discussion. So I've been doing a lot of that virtually, going to start doing much more of it in person, but absolutely, I would love to do that as well.
I love that. Thank you so much for that, guys. There you have it. Definitely stay connected with Kimberla Lawson Roby. You can follow her on social media. You can go to her website. You can sign up for her newsletter and any of those other things that we talked about that she's doing. Also, guys, Kimberla, she does a speaking engagement for women's events and other events, keynote speaker, all of that stuff. That's on her website too.
Yes.
If you want to see if she is available for that as well. That is our show on this evening. Of course, get you a copy of The Woman That God Created You to Be. Tell a friend to tell a friend about this amazing, amazing book. Even if you buddy read it with somebody or a group, all of that good stuff as well. Stay connected with Kimberla Lawson Roby. And as we always say, guys, have an amazing day, because we're having an amazing day. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Take care.